So, welcome to What Matters, a collection of portraits and stories from University of Michigan and Tennessee State University art departments. So the show was put together by TSU and University of Michigan, collaboration, having conversations. We were approached by Brian Banks, who's at University of Michigan. He had worked with another professor here at TSU in communications a year or so before, where they'd gone on a trip to LA together and visited some recording studios. And I think during that visit, maybe they talked about more collaborations or ways that we could work together, and art got mentioned. And so here in the art department at TSU, we sat down, me and a student, now alumni, Renaija Wright. And Renaija and I came up with what matters and sort of the curatorial statement, as we would call it. And I'll read that. That was on our press release. And then we gave it back to the students here at TSU and the students at University of Michigan, and asked for everyone to submit work that they felt like encompassed the curatorial statement that we created. So I'll read over that a little bit so you can get an idea of what this show's about, and then we can start our walkthrough. So, what matters? A collection of portraits and stories from University of Michigan and Tennessee State University art department brings together the two schools to look at ways to build community. The show examines what each artist views as important, and that through honoring differences, our contributions and histories individually make the best future for us all. I think I mentioned earlier, I went up to University of Michigan first, so that was in October, November of last year. And then came COVID times to TSU, where we have it hung, but we are offering it digitally. What Matters creates a representation of the diversity that we want our world to be made of. Students and professors will use visual, found materials, and stories to create a judgment-free way of hearing and seeing new cultures, people, and experiences. What Matters gives us a chance to reflect not only on our identities and perceptions, but also on our world and our effect in it. Artists are able to tell their stories, experience, stance, showing what defines them outside of the way they may be outwardly perceived. What Matters utilizes reuse elements. Can we look sustainably as we move forward in creating our just world? Art school and school in general are a perfect time to demonstrate new paradigms of respecting the earth. Each movement is our future, what might truly result as each artist looks at resources differently. What Matters, a collection of portraits and stories from UM and TSU art departments, ask the artist to share with the viewer from each university your community, as you get a chance to learn about theirs in return. This will create a collective, an exchange that gives you the ability to see and learn from your neighbors. So that's what we wrote about the show. And Renaija, are you on?
I'm here.
Awesome. Do you want to talk or in conversation with me any about sort of coming into the journey of like creating that artist statement or the curatorial statement? It's been so long now.
Yeah. I think we were just really looking for, well, for me, when Courtney came up with the idea matter, and we were brainstorming from there, matter. And I was thinking more on the science part when she first said it, but then I thought, like, I visualized my grandma's house, and I actually thought that's where the fine use material part came from. I thought about what since my grandma's house mattered so much to me. What I would do as a kid, I would be outside, and I was thinking maybe that everybody could find things maybe like a button or a rock or something that symbolizes something and use it in their work. So I don't know. We were just brainstorming.
Yeah, we sort of went back and forth. So I am a reuse artist. I'll add that
Yeah.
in the conversation. So I'm
Yeah,
always like trying to be like, oh, how can we get people to think about their materials or what they're creating with? I love how that, like, you know, thinking about your grandmother's house and the history and the feelings associated with that
right.
sort of came up.
Yeah, and we were just, I don't know, just trying to get all of that to feed through the show, just what matters. And I can say, like, it's a very broad show. Like, so many people took it different ways, and I love it. I know Miss Moore, she said that painting right there behind you, she found that wood. Her dad gave it to her, and that's really what I was looking for. Not saying that's what was needed, but you know, that was my idea. Just when you put something that means something to you in your art, you kind of do it a little more. You know, not the word do it, but yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially for me in my practice, like the material feeds into, you know, what I'm trying to translate also. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, I like the idea. I think when we were thinking about it, you know, like how do we make a group, or how do we, you know, it was early. I mean, it was at the beginning of 2019. I think we were
Right.
working on this, and you know, things have been a little in upheaval. We didn't know COVID was coming. But like, I think you know, how do we make us a more cohesive and like community? And that was something that I was interested in, because we don't know anyone at really University of Michigan, and they don't know us.
Right.
And so how exchanging art could create that community.
And I think we kind of talked about that a little, like how we don't know them there and they don't know us, but we could kind of feel that from the idea of reusing something that matters, or just anything that matters to you, trying to get a feel of their community. Is it free? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
Lakeisha Moore, who is a professor here at TSU, this is her piece behind me. Lakeisha, do you want to, Ms. Moore, do you want to talk on this piece? And did you create it for the show, or was it created already?
Well, as was mentioned earlier, and I see everyone on here, but I paint portraits usually. And my father's a truck driver, but he also collects pallets on the side for extra money, right? And I think I get my desire to work with my hands from him. And I saw this in the backyard one day, and it was, you know, kind of old. And I said, "Oh, this is really cool. I can paint on this. Of course, you can paint on anything, right?" You know. And so he said I could have it, and I took it. I think I took it home, and it stayed in the corner of my studio for a long time. But for some reason, I kept seeing the image of my grandfather on it. And this is my great grandfather, and his name was Claude. He lived in Mississippi. He owned a farm, and you know, just the idea of my journey being intertwined with his, and being part of his story, that becomes part of my story, you know. And so I'm very much interested in identity, and to show his portrait, you know, try to capture some of his essence is what I was going for. And typically I paint portraits of women, but when I paint portraits of men, they're usually in these arbitrary colors. And I'm not sure why that is, but I think I want to continue that vein. And this is what came up. I gave myself a limited color palette. And I think looking back now, it definitely reflects his time in Mississippi. You know, he was working, you know, during the civil rights movement, and he faced, you know, challenges, you know, just like everyone else, you know, with the knowledge that speaking up about issues about civil rights would would cause trouble, would wreak havoc for you, right? And so he experienced those things, and so me now walking in this space, you know, how do I handle things? How do I see the world? And I don't know. So this is part of what I was thinking about when I was creating it, and the fact that our history matters. You know, our individual histories matter, and this inclusive space welcomes each of those histories, welcomes each of those parts of ourselves that most of us don't know about, or parts that we want to highlight, whether they are social issues or issues that we kind of deal with on our own. So I don't know. That's my part in this, and I was really glad to be in the show, and I think it's beautiful in the space. So congratulations to both of you as you kind of got this together, and thank you to Brian for working with us as well. So
thank you. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna walk a little bit. Let's see how this goes. We'll turn. And so there is, when I tested this out yesterday, there is some glare and reflection with the lights. So this is Cassie Bright's work. She's a TSU student. I think she I don't know. Did Cassie graduate? I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Genealogy is the name of this piece. Next, we have the soft sculpture. And this is, do you pronounce your first name? Is it Taryn? Taryn with us? Taryn Wiltshire?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love these. Taryn, do you want to talk a little bit on your work? I'll get us a little closer. Hold on.
I can. So, hello everybody. Hope everyone is well during these hectic times. Taryn. So, I how do I start? Well, this piece kind of came about after my sophomore year, like the stamps program. They make us go through this like wretched thing where they like put us on like the spotlight, like, hey, is your art really that good, or do you really not need to be here? So that's what drew me to this, because they were like, you need to figure out what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing with your artwork, because I was all over the place. I didn't know if I wanted to animate, make clothes, do soft sculpture. I was just all over. So this kind of honed me in, because I also started learning about myself, like about my history, or things, you know, that resonate with me about Black history. And also like underdeveloped or underspoken about things, I guess, within Black history that, you know, we don't get exposed to as African Americans growing up within the education system or system of education. And so I started, you know, implementing that history into my artwork. And so I really love to crochet. I crochet just about anything. And it's like a gift that I feel like God gave me, because I believe in God. That's a huge part of my work is, you know, my relationship with God. So this piece came about from me incorporating like the history that I felt was left out of just what we're taught about Black people before we got here, you know, to America. So I resonate with the belief that people of the scriptures or people of the Bible were people of color or Black people. So and that's just something that we don't really bring up, and we don't really talk about the fact that there's been different whitewashing that's happened, and we know that these things aren't true, but we still just kind of like treat it like it's nothing instead of like telling people, you know, where they came from. And I think that matters a whole lot to our progression as a race, as a nation of people who have perpetually struggled with different things and haven't really had a chance to, you know, grow as a unit of people, you know. I mean, and so I think that matters a whole lot. So I wanted to give some kind of depiction of biblical figures that looks like maybe what they would look like tone-wise and things like that. So yeah, I just incorporated that into crochet. And what's interesting is that I didn't know that the material thing was like, I didn't know that was a part of the show until just now, when that was spoken about. But some of the yarn that I'd used for like the clothing was yarn that I got from an aunt of mine that I really care about, and I really was very particular about using it. Like I didn't want to use it on just something like random, and I chose this project to use it. So that's an interesting thing. I wasn't even aware that
That's awesome.
thing. So yeah, but I guess that's pretty much it.
Are you continuing to make more soft sculptures? Is that part of your practice now?
Actually, I recently I've done it for a couple of projects. Right now I'm going into my senior year, and so I'm thinking about doing it for like my final project for like IP, for independent practice or whatever. So I want to bring it back in. It's gonna be kind of scary though. I don't know. This is a big thing.
Yeah, I think I love how unique each, character is and the details that you put into them.
Thank you.
And these are representing, is it the 12 apostles?
The 12 that were kind of grouped, well, I guess I didn't group them when I shipped them, but the 12 that go together, well, kind of like 11 of them that go together, that's like the 12 tribes of Israel.
Okay.
I think they're all there, but then there's, various other groups or different people.
I'll go through these guys. This is one of my favorites. This is Moses.
No, that's Paul.
Oh, it's Paul.
Yeah.
Paul.
I think Moses has his little staff.
Okay, yes, I see him. He's after this guy. He's Moses.
Those are amazing. I can't see, maybe it's my screen, but are the faces also crocheted? The whole thing is, correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, there's little pieces of felt as well, but yeah, like the eyes and the teeth and the lips and nose is all crocheted for the most part.
Great job.
And I don't know if you want to, sometimes you can pin, my screen and it'll stay up so you can sort of.
Yeah, I tried that. It wasn't working. So.
Technology, great. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. Next piece, which of course I get all the reflections on. And is it Leah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Leah New, who is a University of Michigan student. I could screen share and give us a better image of this. Let's see if I can work my buttons. Do you want to talk on your work?
Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, so this piece I made after I completed my freshman year at University of Michigan. And it was kind of like a commentary, kind of reflection on this new thing going into adulthood, still trying to figure out parts of my identity. And so my practice mainly consists of illustration work. And so this piece was made with acrylic gouache. And so I just wanted to incorporate like background images and also just different parts of me trying to figure out these parts of my identity and incorporating different objects that reminded me of parts of my childhood. And so it kind of like represented myself looking through a mirror onto what would be the other side into adulthood, this kind of unknown, but also familiarity with myself.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you. Around the corner, and this is Caleb Wallace, who is a TSU student. I do have a better image of that with screen sharing also. Let's see. Caleb, do you want to talk at all? Caleb, are you around?
You hear me now?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all
I had
good.
muted myself.
This is Caleb's piece.
But it was just supposed to be like a gestural abstract piece about like how people view women and stuff, like just like judgment. And so I kind of didn't want it to like, I didn't want people to like view people based off of like how they look. So that's why I kind of put like a bikini and like a dress, like just so like into one. It's hard to explain like how I was thinking of when I made it, but it was pretty much more like just about like judgment and viewing people.
Awesome. And you have another piece that's around the corner. Also, let's see. All right, here we go. This is Floyd Ivy III. Let's see. Hey, Floyd, do you want to talk to us at all? Floyd's at TSU.
Yeah, I can talk. Hey everybody, my name is Floyd Ivy III, and this is my piece. I really came up with that piece before I knew there was going to be a showing, but it's basically a representation of kind of my own spin of the old Black magazines like Ebony and what's another one? Ebony
Jet.
and like
Jet, maybe?
yeah, Jet magazine. So it was my own take of it. And on the side, as you can see, it says, why does Black culture matter? Because, well, me at the age that I'm at, I'm starting to see that a lot of things do come from Black culture, whereas the music, the style, fashion sense, even the lingo that people might use, a lot of it comes from Black culture of our age. So it was really just hitting those different notes of why does it matter? And I didn't intentionally try to make the person look like me, but I guess it just happens like you accidentally throw yourself into the art. But that's basically a representation of like urban Black youth. Just saying why we should protect our culture. Why does our culture matter? You see the Black Power symbol tattooed on his chest, and the gold chains, and some of the different, I guess you could say, stereotypes that a Black man might wear, like a do-rag, gold chains, earrings. But instead of looking at it in a negative sense, looking at it as, oh, okay, that's our culture. Like, it's cool for us to do that. Just because we wear it, that don't mean we thugs. That don't mean we're have to be looked at in a violent sense. That's just how we like to dress and how we like to do things.
Thanks, Floyd.
No problem.
Awesome. So let's see, my cart. I'm on a cart here. So you can get a wide view. All right, so next is a professor here at TSU, Michael McBride. Let's see if I can find the title of this one. I didn't see Michael on the call. Do you guys see Michael? Mr. McBride? Let's see where I hid my labels. And he did, McBride did sell this piece through the image being put on social media. It's called Walking in My Ancestors' Footsteps. So some of these pieces are for sale. I know Taran has work that's for sale also. Next, this is the University of Michigan. This is this Destiny Riley? James? Is this one called James?
That one is
The me?
Lauren Mills.
Lauren Mills. Thank you, Brian. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. So this is Brian Banks. I talked a little bit before you got on about how this collaboration happened. How I remembered it is that you and Brian Day had a relationship prior,
Right.
and then we started talking about art. So
Yeah, that's basically how it happened.
yeah,
It happened because of CBS. It's the CBS Diversity Office. I invited them here, and they connected me with Brian when they told me that Tennessee State comes out to California. And Brian was gracious enough to allow us to go on the trip with them. So the first year we went was 2018. And our group, we had a good rapport with each other. We had fun. And Brian allowed us to come back for 2019, and we went back in 2020. So we've taken a few students out to LA with Tennessee State. And, you know, the relationship, we wanted to search a way for the relationship to continue and not just be centered around the LA trip, and, you know, trying to find a way we can work together. So what we were planning to do, we wanted to bring students down to Tennessee State and then have students come up from Tennessee State to U of M, so we can, you know, see where each other works and you know, kind of form a bigger relationship. And we hope to do that when COVID's over. We hope to get down there and spend some time on Tennessee State's campus.
Yeah, we'd love to have you visit. So yes, Lauren Mills, me. Is Lauren with us at all?
No, she's not.
Okay, awesome. We'll move on. In this corner, this is Caleb's second piece. Caleb, what's this one called?
That one was called Mirror Fit, and I made that one kind of to like express that it's okay to get things out, and that, you know, you can just try to do things, because this is actually my first painting, so I really didn't know how to paint. So I was really just like going with the flow and just being expressive and being okay. Like, it's okay if you don't like something, and just put it out there and just keep trying. And like, that was like my way of communicating how I feel, because I have a hard time like expressing sometimes. So I thought that was a really good way of doing that. And for other people that feel like they need to express themselves or need an outlet or something, just, you can really do anything. No one really, like, there's no real way to paint or anything, or a real way to do art, and just do your own way of it, I guess. But that was pretty much it.
Yeah, what matters to you? We have a Renaija Wright coming in second. Renaija, do you want to talk on this piece? And I cannot say the title. If you can say the title.
Oh, let me see what order it was. The title is just all of my family members' names.
Is it? Oh, okay. You never told me that.
Literally, every single one of my family members. I just tried. Let me see if I can get it out.
Here, I can pull it up too. Now that I know that it's actually names, I could probably.
Yeah. I had it in my notes, but I might have deleted it.
I'll pull it up on the Flickr, because then I think you can see sort of a little bit more that it's, you know, the details. So here's your title right here.
Okay. Yeah, so Quentin is my boyfriend, and Renaija, Lorraine, my mom, Eric, my dad, Philip, my granddad, Arnitha, my grandma, PJ, my uncle Phyllis, and Almeda, my aunt, Regina, my older cousin, Bam, my older cousin, Amaya, my little sister, Asia, Rakeev, and Rashawn, and Ariana are all cousins. So that's my thumbprint. I was researching the artist Kentira Davis, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and I had been looking at her around that time, and she takes words and that's how she makes figures, or yeah. So I thought about doing that, and I thought it would be a little overwhelming, you making my thumbprint with my name, with all the names that are in the title, And I was running a little short on time because I'm a procrastinator, and yeah. So I thought, what could I do to get the thumbprint on there? And I went to YouTube, found this stuff called gel medium. So I used, I think it was eyeliner, and put it on my thumb and did a little stamp and went and blew it up, and then used the gel medium to put it on there. But this idea came from, at the time, I don't want to, it's cliche to say identity crisis, but I guess that's what it was. And I was thinking back on my name, Renaija, and how it's spelled, and I used to hate my name so much. And I used to let people pronounce it wrong. Everybody would butcher my name, teachers, and I would allow it because I would get embarrassed going back and forth with the teachers, trying to get them to correct my name, and they're messing it up as I'm correcting them. So I thought for the show, What Matters, My Identity Matters. And my initial idea was to make an identification card and have like a silhouette, like how it is on bathrooms and men and women silhouette. And then just somehow incorporate the ideas of Black names mattering, because Black names are butchered, their Black names are talked about. And that was just the idea. But then time was progressing and I was procrastinating. I was thinking, how can I get that same idea, but quick and simple? And thought about my thumbprint. We all have our own identity through our thumbprints, through our fingerprints. And if you run a fingerprint, you'll still see that name. You'll still see any information about that person. It's just the simplest form of identification, but it still holds everything about you. So that was my idea. Yeah.
Thanks. That's
You're
awesome.
welcome.
All right. So next, this is my book. It's called hold on, let me see what the title is exactly. I know it's the Red Book. Hold on. You know, a computer doesn't want to work when you're needing it to. But this book is basically, I'll tell you what the book is about. It's actually all of my goal list that I could scrounge up. And then I sort of, I did pick and choose which goal list I used. So these are from the past 15 years or so. And so I found all these random pieces of paper that I'd hidden throughout my house on sort of professional and personal goals, and I made it into a book. So it's a red pleather book, and I was doing these cards for a while where I would rate them, and there's actually like ratings of how important that goal could be. You know, they get an A, B, C, and then sort of a long term, short term. This one on this page says paint company, an installation on Shelby Bridge, curate one a year, and sell work for $1,000. So it's sort of personal. Make art daily, practice Qigong, less TV, only movies once a week, a better bedtime. So I collected things that I had thought had mattered throughout the years and put them in one book. There's even like a little self-portrait in there that I found that was older. And to me, like, I love the fact that you can look back on your goals that you make and you can decide like, oh, I accomplished that one, or that one doesn't matter to me anymore. It's not as important. And so each page, zero waste is of course on one of the pages. But that was my sort of contribution to this show, looking and reflecting through the years of the things that I collect and the things that have sort of gone through my psyche. into what matters for me. So this is next, Seth is at St. Pierce, who is a university.
Yes, Seth St. Pierre.
Pierre, thank you, Brian, for my assist. University of Michigan artist, and you can really see these. These are really nice. On the Flickr page, they're all individually. Let's see if you can sort of see them all very closely on the Flickr page. There's 4 of them in this series. These came from the University of Michigan. We can sort of do a sweep through this way. Over here we have Adam and Eve. These are Taryn's pieces, which they are beautiful. This is another one of Seth's work. This one I know is titled Peace. Oh, I'm definitely still screen sharing, aren't I? Nope. All right. And then around this corner, Nuveen Bharwari, which is a recent graduate of Tennessee State. Nuveen has 2 pieces in the show. This is her other piece, and then the beautiful ceramic piece. I don't think Nuveen made it on, but Nuveen is a Kurdish American artist, and so a lot of her work deals with family and her Kurdish culture. I know for a fact this is a photograph of her father and some of his friends in Kurdistan. So part of her work, she's taking images from her family and from her culture and manipulating them. So she's painted them, reproduced them, painted them, and creating frames from material. And then last but not least, here I'm actually, this is a University of Michigan artist. Micaiah Thompson, is that correct?
Michaela Thomas.
Thomas, thanks. Do you want to talk on your work?
Sure. So the sculpture is about tolerance and more specifically self-tolerance. I feel a major part of growing up is being able to accept all of your strengths and weaknesses and using them to better yourself as a person. So the piece kind of shows how you can grow into a person that you want to be and that you can be proud of. And the open head represents optimism, while the sparrow on top of it represents freedom and perspective.
See the head. Beautiful piece.
Thank you.
And we do have 2 videos. We could watch the videos if y'all are interested in them, or they are available on the Flickr to look at also. So that was a walkthrough of what matters. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or want me to go to a work of art?
Courtney, I do have one question. Is this being recorded?
It is.
Great. Can you share that with me so we can share this with others?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks for everyone for the putting stuff in the chat. Sweet. So, any questions? Answers, thoughts?
It looks great. Is the gallery open at all so that we know?
It is not.
Okay.
We could possibly, yeah, no, it's not.
Okay, just checking.
But Flickr, and then I do have a sheet I made, and maybe Brian and I could add to it where I elaborated on a few people's pieces and have images beside their title and work that could be handed out so students could have sort of some context to the show. But so I did some just research on my own for the work for the TSU students, but after hearing people talk more about their own individual works, I could make something a little more comprehensive if that's interesting to anyone else.
And I just want to chime in to say that you all did a wonderful job explaining your work and kind of your process behind it and your concepts. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. It was a beautiful show.
Hey, Courtney, I have a question.
Sure.
What's a good way to branch out, like to galleries and stuff? Because I have more work like now than when I did when I made those pieces.
Yeah, I actually have, let me see if I can find the date. I think it's October 2nd. I'm gonna have two gallerists have a conversation about how to approach galleries. I think it's October the 2nd, but I can send more information out about that. So approaching galleries, it is about building a relationship. So what you would do first is you would go and meet them or attend a show. Always make sure it's a fit, like do research before you cold call someone. So you wanna go and put yourself in that place, know what their work they're showing and what works they've shown. So doing some research before you visit. And then, so you build a relationship with the gallery and the gallerist or the art dealer. And so introducing yourself, saying simply, I'm an artist, I would like to show you work. What's the best way to bring you work? You know, some people might want to see it in person, an email, you know, a jump drive, things like that. So sort of vetting them before you just land on them and say, I've got stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be the best. And then when you do take them or give them images, making sure that they're adequate images that represent your work, that would be a start. I definitely would suggest joining us on the 2nd. That's just information I've gleaned. I'm not, you know, a galler. I've never been a gallerist.
Will they be in person? Will it be like another Zoom call?
It'll be a Zoom call. And I'm gonna try and, I haven't gotten an Atlanta gallery yet, but I would like to get an Atlanta gallery or art dealer on in the conversation. I have one from Memphis.
I know a good gallery you should get in contact with. They're called the Vinings Gallery.
Will you email me that?
I will.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, I have a Nashville-based one and a Memphis-based art gallery for that conversation. But we can talk more about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. I will say, feel free to join if you are not following social media. We have a Instagram and a Facebook and a YouTube. They are all TSU Art Department. And then we have a newsletter that I send out monthly, sometimes bi-monthly. It will remind you about shows and conversations we're going to have in the gallery. You can easily find that off of our Instagram. let me think how else, and Facebook. We'll have it on our website soon. We have some website updating that we're about to work on. And then my email, I'll put that in the chat if anyone wants to directly email me to get information. I am definitely available that way. I'll put that in. Yep. Anything else? Professor Sales, who spoke earlier, is the chair of the art department here at TSU, and is leading us fearlessly into the future. Do you have anything else we need to mention before we say goodbye, Ms. Sales?
I just want to encourage everyone to join us whenever we have an artist talk. Please join us. This is really wonderful and a great way for us to kind of get together and look at artwork and discuss and just kind of have a sense of community. So be on the lookout for that. Please follow the Instagram page that Courtney mentioned and sign up for the newsletter. So thank you guys again for sharing your work. This was really great.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone who joined the conversation today, and all of the artists from University of Michigan and Brian Banks, and then all of our TSU folks for participating and making this happen. Yay. Awesome.
Good job, guys.
Thank you. You guys have a good day, okay?
Thank you so much. Good to see you, Caleb.
Thank you, Courtney.
See you all.
Thanks.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining, Thrill Kill.
That
Awesome.
was nice, Courtney. That was great. I really enjoyed that.
Look, everybody talked.
Courtney and Kalina, that was great. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed hearing the students, and it was amazing that they actually talked about their work and their